Title: Whispered Legacy. In the quiet stillness of an autumn evening, I sat by the fireplace, my father's tired eyes gazing into the distance. It was a night like any other, but my father had promised me a tale of the afterlife, something he had experienced himself. As I leaned in closer, he began to recount his haunting encounter. "My son, I once found myself wandering in the realm of the afterlife." My father's voice was a mixture of fear and nostalgia. It was a place beyond imagination, a world both ethereal and terrifying. He described how he took his last breath, and in the void a dim light emerged, leading him to an eerie and desolate landscape. I listened intently, my heart pounding with each word, as he recounted his journey through the strange realm. The shadows that danced around him, the whispers in the air, and the chilling melody that echoed through the afterlife were all vivid in his recollection. I held my breath, trying to comprehend the nightmarish landscape that my father had once traversed. He described the grand, dilapidated mansion that beckoned him further into the afterlife, the walls adorned with faded portraits and the unending halls filled with ghostly apparitions. Each step he took felt like a plunge into a surreal abyss. The spirits he encountered bore the weight of their past mistakes, and he spoke of their eternal sorrow, the torment they sought release from. I could feel his empathy for them, a mixture of compassion and guilt. As he delved deeper into the mansion, he stumbled upon remnants of his own life, personal belongings that he thought he had left behind. The afterlife, it seemed, was a twisted mirror reflecting his secrets and regrets, a realization that had shaken him to his core. With every moment, I became more engrossed in my father's tale, drawn into the nightmarish realm he had experienced. The boundary between reality and the afterlife blurred as I listened, feeling as though I was there with him, witnessing the horrors firsthand. He spoke of the ritual he had discovered, a desperate attempt to free souls from this cursed realm, the sacrifices he had made, and the malevolent spirits he had unwittingly unleashed upon the world. The horror of his own actions and their consequences were etched on his face. Yet just as I thought the story was about to reach its conclusion, he paused, his eyes glistening with tears. "Son, what I once thought was a dream or a delusion was a lesson in the fragility of life and the unknown mysteries that lie beyond," he whispered, his voice trembling. In that moment I realized that my father's journey through the afterlife had changed him profoundly. He carried the weight of his experience with him, like a whispering legacy passed on to me. As the fire crackled in the hearth, I held my father's hand, grateful for the gift of his story. His tale of the afterlife would forever linger in my mind, a reminder that death might not be the end, but a beginning of an eternal mystery we could never fully comprehend. And I knew that one day it would be my turn to share this tale with the next generation, passing on the echoes of the beyond. In the darkness of the operating room, I felt my body slipping away, succumbing to the icy grip of death. Panic and despair washed over me as I realized I was leaving this world behind. But instead of fading into oblivion, my senses sharpened, and I found myself floating above my lifeless body. A blinding light appeared, drawing me towards it, and I felt an inexplicable sense of peace. As I approached the light, I entered a realm of surreal beauty, unlike anything I had ever seen before. Vivid colors danced around me, and a soothing melody filled the air, as if the universe itself was singing. But amidst the enchanting scenery, shadows lurked. Faces contorted with agony emerged from the brilliant backdrop, their mournful eyes locking onto mine. They seemed trapped, endlessly wandering in a state of eternal unrest. The once comforting light now cast an eerie glow, revealing an unsettling truth about the afterlife. The further I delved into this realm, the more ominous it became. Whispers echoed around me, a haunting chorus of voices recounting forgotten sins and unresolved regrets. I could feel their pain and anguish seeping into my very being, suffocating me with guilt that wasn't my own. In the distance, I noticed a figure shrouded in darkness, beckoning me closer. Against my better judgment, I followed the allure, driven by an inexplicable force. As I approached, the figure revealed itself to be a grotesque skeletal entity, the Grim Reaper himself. Fear consumed me as the Reaper extended his bony hand towards me, but before I could react, the scene shifted, and I found myself back in the operating room, hovering above my body once more. The doctors frantically worked to revive me, and I felt a strange sense of urgency to return. As I re-entered my lifeless body, I gasped for breath, my heart pounding in my chest. The afterlife's visions still lingered in my mind, haunting me with their unsettling truths. From that day on, I lived with the knowledge that the line between life and death was thin, and that the afterlife held both beauty and darkness beyond comprehension. Despite my return to the land of the living, a part of me couldn't shake the feeling that I had glimpsed a realm that wasn't meant for mortal eyes. It was a chilling reminder that in the end, we are all mere mortals bound to face the mysteries that lie beyond the wall. As I took my last breath, everything faded into darkness. The silence was deafening and I was enveloped in a void. But then slowly, a dim light appeared before me. I found myself standing in an eerie, desolate landscape, the afterlife. This place was nothing like what I had imagined. The air was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by faint whispers and distant echoes. A chill ran down my spine as I realized that I was not alone. Shadows danced around me, their movements synchronized with my every step. Fear gripped my heart as I ventured further into this strange realm. The path I walked was uncertain, and the ground beneath me seemed to shift with every footfall. Was this a punishment, or perhaps a twisted reflection of my own fears? Suddenly I heard a haunting melody, carried on the wind. It was a mournful tune that echoed through the afterlife, chilling me to my core. I followed the sound, my heart pounding in my chest, leading me to a grand, dilapidated mansion. The mansion loomed before me like a ghostly specter, its walls adorned with faded portraits of faces I couldn't recognize. As I approached, the front door creaked open, inviting me inside. With trepidation, I crossed the threshold. Within, the mansion seemed never-ending, its halls stretching far beyond what should have been possible. The walls seemed to watch me, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Whispers surrounded me, filling my mind with incomprehensible thoughts. As I wandered deeper into the mansion's depths, I encountered ghastly apparitions of those long departed. Each spirit bore the weight of their past mistakes, their eyes filled with an eternal sorrow. They reached out to me, pleading for release, but I dared not touch them. With every passing moment, the boundary between the living and the dead blurred. Time lost its meaning, and I struggled to maintain a grip on reality. The mansion itself seemed to mock me, shifting its layout to confuse and confound. In the darkest corners of the mansion, I discovered remnants of my own life. Personal belongings I thought I had left behind. It was as though the afterlife was a twisted mirror of my own existence, reflecting every secret and regret I had buried. As the days turned to nights and the nights to days, I felt myself slipping further into madness. The haunting melody that once filled me with dread now echoed within my own mind, driving me to the brink of sanity. At the height of my torment, I stumbled upon an old journal filled with cryptic entries. The writing spoke of a ritual that could free souls from this cursed realm. Desperate to escape, I resolved to perform the ritual, following its instructions to the letter. The ritual was a harrowing ordeal, demanding sacrifices that tested my resolve. Yet in the end, I completed it, hoping to find salvation. But as I performed the final incantation, the mansion shook violently, and the spirits turned malevolent. They had deceived me, and I had unknowingly unleashed a greater darkness. The afterlife itself seemed to shudder, its walls crumbling into an abyss. I had opened a portal to something beyond comprehension, and it hungered for souls. Terrified and filled with regret, I fled from the collapsing mansion, chased by the malevolent spirits I had unintentionally unleashed. As I ran through the ever-shifting halls, I could feel their cold, skeletal hands reaching for me. Just when I thought I was lost forever in the afterlife, I woke up in a hospital bed, gasping for breath. I had been resuscitated, brought back from the brink of death. The experience had been a twisted dream or a delusion, but the horror of the afterlife lingered in my mind. Even now, I can't shake the feeling that I glimpsed something beyond this world. The echoes of the afterlife still haunt me, a constant reminder that death may not be the end, but rather the beginning of a journey into the unknown.